Let's talk about books. Let's do a quick review for Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead by Olga Tokarczuk. This is from the perspective of Yanina, who hates her name, by the way, and in a way hates names in general. Like, she gives the people in her village the name she thinks fits them best. So she has neighbors that she's named Bigfoot and Oddball. She has friends Dizzy and Good News, and then she's named the priest Father Russell because of the rustling sound his cassock makes. She's unable to name herself, of course, because who can sum themselves up in a word? So, like I said, this is told from the perspective of Yanina, and she lives in this isolated village on the border of Poland and the Czech Republic. And she's an older woman, about 60, and she's a caretaker for the wealthy people who live in the area. She's a caretaker for their homes because winter is brutal. So when the story opens and it's the middle of the night and her neighbor Oddball is banging on her door and he's come to tell her that their neighbor Bigfoot is dead. And Bigfoot is a neighbor that she hates. He has been vaguely menacing to her. He locks his dog in a shed, and she's an avid animal lover, and she's written the police all these letters. She's complained to them, and they never do anything. Plus, he's a hunter, and she has a hatred for the hunters and poachers in the area, and there are a lot of them. And she's very much a student of nature and the animals around her. She takes these long treks through the forest, and she has a friendship with the deer and bats and birds. And shortly after Bigfoot dies, she sees a fox who she's named Consul. And Consul leads her to a boar that's been killed, shot by hunters. And they have not even realized that they've killed this boar because I guess they're just spraying bullets everywhere. So she decides to go to the police and report it as a murder. And she makes this big speech at the police about how she wishes she knew deer script so she could warn all the deer away from the hunting stands, and how there's all these butcher shops and the meat hangs from the ceiling and it's like a concentration camp. And she just goes on and on about this. And I mean, she has a point, right? I mean, we recoil at the thought of our dogs or cats being harmed, but then we have pork chops for dinner, and a pig and a dog are not that different. So anyway, they see her as just an older lady who's a crackpot, and she's already written all these letters to them, so that just fortifies their opinion of her. So they're very dismissive of her, but then there's a guy who's an older gentleman, very respectable, who has a poodle, and he's in the police station at the time, and he agrees with her. And because he's respectable, he sort of lends her some credibility. And I was so hoping that this would sort of veer in the direction of like the town as a whole having an epiphany about animal slaughter. I really wanted the book to be sort of weird and different in that way, but oh well, it didn't go that way. So then another poacher / hunter is killed, and this time it looks like murder. And there are all these deer hoof prints around the murder scene, and Yanina begins to think that the animals are colluding to kill the hunters. And it's a theory which she begins to herald far and wide. And so we don't know whether she's eccentric or insane, and she does some other weird stuff, like she keeps the remains of poached animals in her garage, and at one point she gives a deer trotter to someone as a going away present, like, good luck, Godspeed, have a deer foot. So we begin to wonder if she might be a little unhinged. And I really felt like this book missed an opportunity to lean in on being very weird. I read some Goodreads reviews and everyone was like, oh, this book is so weird. But I think it really had the potential to be a lot weirder and miss something by not going there. I mean, even the title, that line from Blake, Drive Your Plow Over the Bones of the Dead, it grabs you and shakes you. And I wanted the novel to grab me and shake me. And I felt like it couldn't really decide what kind of a book it wanted to be. Did it want to be a book with magical realism? Did it want to be lit fic? Did it want to be a noir mystery? And I think it didn't really succeed at being any of those. So it wasn't a complete hit for me. I did enjoy it, and it was good, and there's some beautiful prose in here, and some funny parts as well. There's this part where Yanina, let's see if I can find it, talks about testosterone autism. Here it is. With age, many men come down with testosterone autism, the symptoms of which are a gradual decline in social intelligence and capacity for interpersonal communication, as well as a reduced ability to formulate thoughts. The person beset by this ailment becomes taciturn and appears to be lost in contemplation. He develops an interest in various tools and machinery, and he is drawn to the Second World War and the biography of famous people, mainly politicians and villains. So there's a lot of enjoyable prose in this book. The characters are well developed. The dialogue is good. she's a Nobel Prize winner, so if you've read something by her, let me know. I welcome recommendations. Yeah, so not a complete hit, but still enjoyable. And that is it for me. I'm glad you're here. Take care.